Emi Erickson was one of 6 young ladies selected to compete in the 2023 Eddie Big Wave Invitational Surf Contest at Waimea Bay.
Most of you. Crystal's the mastermind here. If you guys didn't know Crystal Thornburg Homcy, one of our Surf Film Festival committee members. And I believe you guys were all involved in Beyond Sunset. Right?
Yeah, that is correct.
That is correct. Okay, great. So just so you know, of course, Emi's the star of it. Dave and Jeff both did photography on it. Yes?
Yeah,
Yes?
I co-directed it with Keith,
Oh,
Malloy, and Dave.
Oh
I co-directed it with Keith, Malloy, and then Dave did some of the cinematography and stuff.
my gosh, that's awesome. Okay, so I'm going to start with some questions and then I'll open it up to the audience. But sorry, go ahead, Emmy.
Oh no, good job guys.
It was a really good job. So I guess, really just to start off, Emmy, we're going to be repeating because Emmy was here at the last screening of this with a Q&A, but how did you guys kind of get started with this project? First off, Jeff, I guess co-director.
Yeah, I used to lifeguard with Emmy's dad, you saw in the film, Roger,
Yeah.
and I fast forward maybe 20 years, I was at this get together on the North Shore, and I'm talking to this girl, and we're talking about surfing. She goes, "Oh, I think your friend, you used to lifeguard with my dad." And all of a sudden I go, "Oh my God, you're Emmy." You're early 20s or something? And,
It must have been, yeah.
and the last time I'd seen her, Roger would bring her by the tower all the time. And last time I saw her, she was like 2 or 3 years old. So it was mind-blowing for me. And then just learning more about her and what she'd been doing with her life and surfing and stuff, I just thought it'd be a great story to tell because both her and her father are just great characters, and what she's done with herself is just amazing. So I wanted to tell that story. So we got our stuff together and did it.
Well, thank you for doing that because it is a great story. So Dave, how did you get roped into this?
I know this guy. He just asked me to work on it. And Keith. I just helped with a little bit of the cinematography. I didn't do much.
You didn't? Are you sure?
Well, not much.
Well, he's a go-to guy for a lot of stuff around here because he's one of the few guys that has been doing it forever on the North Shore, and he's worked on so many of these. So he's obviously a go-to guy when we come to Hawaii.
And her and I are friends too, so that made it easy.
So I guess the production was just like a group of friends just getting together. That's great. That's great, man.
Yeah, it really was nice.
And you want people like Dave involved that has some sort of history with the subject. It's not like he's coming into this strange environment and a strange person. And so it helps that everybody kind of knows each other.
Yeah. So Emmy, how did you feel when, Jeff and Keith and everyone approached you about this?
I felt nervous, and it was, kind of up in the air if it was going to happen really. Just to be able to tell my story is cool. To be able to tell a multi-generational story and relate to my dad is kind of more of a touchy subject, so we weren't sure, if it was where we were going, but very flattering, and yeah, it was cool. It worked out.
Well, and I was a little, when you're dealing with stuff like this, there's always some apprehension a little bit because she's opening up her life to a greater audience, and we had a few breakfasts and lunches and stuff just to talk about it and make sure we wanted to do this because it is a kind of a big deal, I think, when you open yourself up like that. So I just wanted to make sure she was in a good headspace for it, and so was I and everybody else. So you just can't take these things too lightly. So
No, definitely. I'm really glad. I mean, because I think I asked you last time, Emmy, like, how did it feel to be so vulnerable in your story? And I guess it helps that you're surrounded by people and that you like, right?
Yeah, I mean, having people working on the project that know me, are acquainted, with my family and story, and kind of know how we all work, especially with my dad as well. Mm-hmm. It's nice to, have that understanding first, and then work from there.
Well, and that was a thing too. I was not only getting our heads together. The other mystery would be Roger, her dad. Because I used to lifeguard with him, and that was back when we had these little orange towers, and you're sitting like hip to hip with each other all day, and there would be entire days where you just didn't talk, which is awkward.
Wow.
You're sitting in a little thing. So, and yet sometimes he's real talkative. You just never know. So we weren't, and we didn't want to bug him, So we didn't know if he wanted to talk about Vietnam, and I knew about his history just from knowing him all these years, but I didn't know if he ever really, because he never really talked about it to us lifeguards. He never talked about Vietnam. So in his house there, we were just kind of hanging out, and all of a sudden he just started breaking out these pictures, this little box with all these pictures, and he just started talking about it, and then we just had the cameras on and just we're all looking at each other going, oh my God, here he goes. And he was telling some pretty cool stories, and so that was great, because you never know, like he could have not talked to us all, so.
I know, I mean,
it worked out.
In listening to this and in watching the film, you kind of really get a sense of the community that's in the North Shore. And we all kind of know this, but I mean, I guess Emmy, having kind of been a child there, but then gone away and come back. How was it? Was it easy to just come back into the community of the North Shore for you when you came back for school and started surfing, or?
Probably not. No, I don't think so. It was very much like I was kind of just alone, starting another new life, but I had a lot of connections to the past that were shaping my future, and coming to terms with when you're a young person, coming to terms with who you are and what you're gonna do and what you want to do, what that looks like. And I kind of said something about that, I think, already in the movie, but that's what it was what was going on, and it's uncomfortable already, but then being around a bunch of new people again that are also old people, it was just hectic. But it's been, wonderful having such a great community around me, and being able to surf and meet people through surfing and create that kind of friendships, those kinds of friendships has been really important for me.
Well, and I think that's a good point, and pardon me if I'm wrong here, but when Emily first lived there, you left when you were like 5 or something?
Like 6,
5 or 6, and at that point, it's not like you had all these friendships that you made over time. You're barely even a kid. So then she comes back, 15 years later or something, or 12 years later?
12.
And so when she comes back, it's the people that she knows are his dad's friends. So she's hanging out with, in the 90s on the North Shore, it was mostly a bunch of dudes. Like, it's mostly a bunch of guys, And now it's quite different. There's families and women and everything. But so she left this place as just a bunch of guys, and then now she comes back, and all she knows right away is just her dad and all his old friends, And so Emily had to forge her own way and create her own life. It wasn't easy. It wasn't like she came back and just jumped into this friendships and situations that she had before. It was like a whole new thing, in creating her whole.
I just hung out with all the old dudes, and I still do. It's worked out perfectly.
Which is a good thing, too.
I mean, having a bunch of uncles is pretty good.
Yeah.
My next question is really kind of like, in our shorts program, you saw a lot of women surfing, different types of really surfers, but I mean, you're a big wave surfer. And again, I'm still kind of shocked that you didn't really start surfing until you were like 18. So and now you're kind of one of the best surfers in the world. You competed in the Eddy. Like, what is your draw for the big waves? Why, I guess, just to kind of understand, like, why you love chasing the big ones.
I have asked myself this as well. I like excitement, and I love to be in nature. And I think, the two of those combined is, any extreme sport. And I ended up, by the ocean again, having this, old memory, right? The really like strong core memories from when you're a kid. You've got, light and sound and all this, and ocean and sand, that kind of stuff. I think it drew me back subconsciously, and I don't know. Surfing's great. It's really fun too. It's taught me a lot of how to be how to get knocked down and come back a few times.
As we saw. Yeah.
Yeah, there's like countless life lessons that I've learned from surfing and from interacting in that environment, in the ocean environment, and been able to learn from to bring back to life on land, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, for you guys, I mean, you know, do you guys like shooting big waves, or do you have a preference, or do you like to go out just for whatever?
I just like to go out for whatever I can do. Yeah. Whatever's available. One of my favorite parts of this film is actually, I've always known about her father, and I didn't know much about him, and just being there for those couple of days and learning about it was really rad, you know, and then seeing, you know, it just was like, oh, okay, now I know. There's a little gene pool going on for sure. Yeah, I know you're forging your own way, like you said in the film, but it's, yeah, it was rad to learn about Roger's life. Like Jeff said, when he started pulling all the photos, it was just like, whoa, it was pretty cool for him to open up like that. Yeah.
And I heard you kind of like the movie. Do you like it?
I love it, yeah. It's
No,
great.
your dad.
Oh, he loves it. You know what?
Kind of.
I was so nervous for him to see it the first time, right?
Yeah.
And you know, he's just all proud, he's stoked.
Okay, good.
Yeah, and it's so nice, and really, I think things come full circle, right? Our story, that's kind of how things have gone. And it feels to me this is pretty vulnerable, but pretty healing to see this and be able to reflect back on it and, you know, process things in different ways for myself. So I think it's really good for him as well.
Yeah.
So thank you for the interest in the first place to make this.
Yeah.
Great job. So now open up to the audience. Crystal, yes?
Okay. This is probably my, I don't know, 5th time seeing it, but first time on the big screen, and I was definitely had tears running down my face because you're amazing and I love you and
Love you too.
what you do for women surfing. And not sure if everyone knows, but you were in the Eddy, representing women and surfers. And how did that compare to Jaws for you? And
That's a good question.
yeah, like what was the build-up or anticipation or training or,
Yeah.
I mean, it was years later, and
Yeah.
did you feel stronger mentally and physically? And I know we have another Eddie contestant in the back of the theater here. Was he in your heat?
Where are we? Is that Cole?
It's Cole is in the back. Cole
I
Christian's
would
in there.
recognize that skull in here.
Was he in your heat?
Actually, he was in my second heat of the day. We shared a heat. Was it the first? We were a little confused. Yeah, you know what? I think there's at least for me, more of a passion drive to surf Waimea. I haven't had as many experiences, definitely, compared to surfing Peahi on Maui. And so, yeah, probably has something to do with that. You know, I just love Waimea. It's really close. I could just drive down the street and surf, and it was the first like big wave that I surfed. Probably a year into my surfing journey, I ended up at 15-foot Waimea, and you know, not having definitely wasn't the best surfer in the world, but I stayed out of the way and I got a few, you know, and you just learn. So from there, it's been like over a decade. You know, being in the Eddy was kind of this pipe dream that was probably never going to happen because they never had invited women and all this, and my intention was never to be an important surfer or anything like that, just to like enjoy the newfound thing, you know, my newfound passion, figure out what I was doing with life. So yeah, I don't know, being part of the Eddy and Eddy's legacy, everything that it stands for, the community, the celebration of the day, and that's the most important part. This you know, winter was like, the energy was crazy with all the spectators, and that interacting with people in the sand, on the beach, that was probably more notable for me than actually surfing. I was, you know, just in awe of everybody coming together like that, and I don't know, I should probably revisit that for next time and be more of a competitor, but it was just this energetic day, you know, that's what took over for me. So yeah, maybe we'll get another chance at some point. Hopefully, right? Yes. Yeah.
Next question, yes, right there.
You guys did so good on that movie. I want to say congratulations, because doing what you have done, literally you learned to surf at 18-ish. Is that kind of like?
You remember? I met you then.
I'm so baffled, and it's such a. There's a small percentage of people that want big waves. That there's a fraction that could do. There's like a fraction of a percent of people that could do that, learning at your age. Also, watching a little bit about your dad really brought tears to my eyes, because that is just such a heavy experience he had to go through. Lastly, I just wanted to ask you, doing Jaws, what does it feel like? I've never surfed there, and it seems like it'd be terrifying. And lastly, do you have any wahine that you can share this experience with, like on your level, because there's just such a fraction of a percent?
Okay, your first question was,
Jaws.
sorry, you get up here and your brain kind of turns to mush. I think Jaws is I think it's really scary. The wave moves really fast. I feel like you have to gain such momentum to even consider dropping into a wave. And then the positioning on the wave is completely different depending on what kind of craft you're riding, and not having, an extreme amount of experience there. I'm sure I have I'm not an expert on Piahi at all, but it's terrifying, yeah. But it's just like anything, like where you kind of just find yourself there, and then you could find a way, you see a vision, like something that you're like remotely possibly comfortable with, and then you seize it. That's kind of at least what I tried to do. And then, you know what? You know Renna pretty well, right?
Yeah.
So when I first met Robin, I was like not even 20 years old, I was a kid. And Heath, our friend Heath, was living in his house. And, there's just a whole friend group of people. And my friend Renna, I met her the same time frame. We were both learning to surf big waves at the same time. She came from New Jersey. She had a surfing background. I was just like bodyboarding sunset. And they all looked at me like I was a crazy person. And Renna and I just became tight, started surfing waves together, big sunset, Waimea for the first time, some other big waves. It was just really fun, free, wild. There was no backup, there was no flotation. You just didn't know what was going to happen, and it was really, and there was a lot of trust between us as well, like that we were both going to be fine, and there was an energy that fed off of, we fed off of one another. So that was a great surfing friendship. And she has since had a child, and she isn't in the water very much anymore, but there are a lot of other great upcoming female, surfers in the water that want to take it to an extreme level and be in big waves. And yeah, I still find myself kind of going alone, probably just because I'm impatient. But yeah, no, it's been cool to see. There's a little more community, feminine community in big wave lineups. Yeah, thanks, Robin.
Congrats.
Thank you.
Question in the middle, yes.
Yeah, you're amazing, by the way, man. Your ability to move through the pain and turn it positive and change, you got injured and everything. I was just curious, what are your sisters doing and your mom? Are they still in the mainland, or are they living here, or are they have you taught them to surf, or are they interested in the ocean?
So my mother is on Outer Banks. Two of my sisters live over there as well in North Carolina, and one sister is also on the North Shore. None of them are as crazy about extreme. They're probably not as extreme as I am. It's just a personality thing. But so there's four of us in all now, and the next one in line, Megan, she was always my partner in crime growing up. So she would just do crazy things. And one time, actually, I was even babysitting all my siblings, and she rappelled out of the second-story window to walk miles away to some place to get candy or something. The cop picked her up on the side of the road and brought her back to the house. So Yeah, she's pretty adventurous. She likes to get out there, and when she visits, because she lives over on the East Coast, when she visits, she sometimes will kind of like let me, take her on an adventure. And there was one time, just a few years ago, she doesn't really surf that much, right? Like Outer Banks waves is totally different. But she, came out to like 5 foot sunset. I put her on a, 8 foot board or something like that, and told her to go, and she did it. So it's cool, to see. Yeah, everyone has a different way to love the ocean.
That's great. Any other questions from the audience? Okay, Crystal?
Do you like surfing 3 foot sunset as much as 10 foot sunset?
No, yeah. I love to surf all kinds of waves. It's just like this extreme, story, right? Crystal, everyone, is an amazing longboarder who I love to surf with, especially Chun's. We've had a lot of sunset sessions together lately. Yeah, I really like tiny waves too. I like big boards, and I don't know. I'm expanding my horizons. Like, quads are alright too. I'm starting to surf them. I have a thruster, stuff like that. It's like not just strictly big waves. But for a very long time, no joke, that's all it was. So that's kind of the direction, right? Yeah, all waves are great.
One more question though. We have a lot of younger women in the audience. Do you have any insight or anything you would like to say to them to kind of open their horizons for what's to come?
People always ask me this and I give the worst answers. I think you have to be your own best advocate and your own, best, biggest believer. It's nice to push your boundaries and learn from that and overcome things, and you have to, as cheesy as it is, believe in yourself, but it's the core of anything. You have to believe you can do it, and the mental aspect of surfing, and especially big waves, like the confidence you have, the belief that you'll be fine or whatever, it's guiding. It's central to everything, I think. So just believe in yourselves.
We have time for maybe one more question from the audience. Anyone? Yes.
Your favorite surf spot?
Yes.
Sunset?
That's a good guess. Okay, so before we wrap
Do you
this,
girls have any questions?
oh yeah, you guys have any
Hi, ladies.
Come on, any questions?
no. They're doing the wave. They're looking away.
You guys, come on, girls. Between the three, you have one question.
No?
No. Oh yes. Go ahead. Okay. She can ask it later. She can. Good try. So before we let you guys go, though, what's next for all of you? We start with Jeff. Next project, next thing.
I have a few projects I have a couple projects that are kind of bubbling, but nothing right around the corner. Just dinner.
Same with me. I usually just work on a TV show. We're all on strike now, apparently. So not working. But he doesn't even know yet. But one of his bubbling projects I might be involved in. I had a conversation this morning with somebody. I haven't even talked to him about it. So
Dream team.
you never know. Yeah, another surprise.
So many
We'll see.
surprises.
We'll talk about it at dinner.
Yeah, I didn't know that's Q&A.
And Emmy, what's next?
I'm hoping to travel in the end of summer maybe, but I'm just so content training and enjoying the summer and the small waves and off-season working, feeling all the stuff. It's good.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. Well, on behalf of the museum and the festival, thank you guys for being
Thank
even
you.
if it was
Thank you.
surprise. Thank you.